Everyone who's ever called Samsung's S Pen a gimmick, useless, or even called it just a stylus is wrong, and I'm going to prove it in this video with over 40 S Pen features that are both powerful and useful for everyday life, including the ability to control your entire home with just a swipe. Before we start, if you're planning on pre-ordering Samsung's latest Fold or Flip series devices, you can use my reserve link in the description and pinned comment below to save an extra $50 when pre-orders go live at the end of July. The reservation is not a commitment to buy, it just locks in the $50 savings, so I recommend reserving one even if you're on the fence. And full disclosure, that is an affiliate link, so I will get a small commission at no extra cost to you if you reserve through that link. You probably already knew that the S Pen has built-in Bluetooth functionality, so you can do things like hold the S Pen button down to open up the camera app, and that's pretty useful, and it gets a bit more useful when you realize you can take a picture by simply pressing the S Pen button, or switch between camera modes by holding the S Pen button down and swiping either left or right, switch between the front and rear cameras with a swipe up or down, or even zoom in or out by holding the S Pen button down and drawing a clockwise or counterclockwise circle. And that zooming in and out will continue until you release the S Pen button. But you probably didn't know that these gestures are fully customizable and have unique actions for a bunch of different applications. To customize this, open your Air Command menu either by tapping the Air Command icon or by pressing the S Pen button when your S Pen is close to the screen. Then tap the Settings gear, then tap Air Actions, and you'll be able to customize all of these Air Actions. The first option is to change the press and hold S Pen button shortcut. So if you don't want it to open up the camera app, you can change it to do something like activate one of your navigation buttons, open up a specific S Pen feature, or open up any application you have installed on your device. And if you don't like that function at all, you can disable it with this toggle at the top. Scrolling a bit further down, you see your generic Air Actions, and these actions work in any application. So if I wanted to open up my recent applications, I would just draw a right-facing arrow, and that'll pull up my recent apps. I could also tap one of these to change them, and I get all the same options that were available with the press and hold shortcut. Scrolling a bit further down, we get all of our app-specific actions, and these include things like cycling through your favorite S Pens in the Samsung Notes application by pressing the S Pen button while it's held away from your screen, controlling your stopwatch, scrolling through pictures in your gallery, controlling your music applications, and much more. If I tap one of these applications, I'll see a list of all the available shortcuts, and if I tap one of those shortcuts, I can even change what it does. And if I don't want the shortcut to do anything, I can change it to do nothing. If I don't want to use app-specific shortcuts for a specific application at all, I can just disable it with this toggle here. And if I scroll to the bottom, I'll even be able to edit my media controls. And these media controls work in any application that can play media, including things like the Bible app. If you forget an app-specific gesture, you can just hover your S Pen over the Air Command icon while you're in that application, and it'll show you all the available gestures. And if you tap that icon, then tap the pen at the top, you'll be able to select one of those gestures and change what they do from within the application. While these Air Actions are pretty useful, you can make them dramatically more powerful with Samsung's Modes and Routines application. This will allow you to use your S Pen to turn on or off your smart lights, change the mode on your air purifier, increase the temperature in your room, and so much more. To set this up, you first need to go to the Galaxy Store application that came pre-installed on your device. Make sure you go to the Galaxy Store and not the Google Play Store, because the application we're going to install is not available on the Google Play Store. Once you open up the application, you're going to look for an application called GoodLock, and make sure you install the one made by GoodLock Labs. That's the official Samsung application made by Samsung's team. Any other application with the GoodLock name is not made by Samsung. Once it's installed, go ahead and open it, and you'll be met with a ton of different plugins that add dozens and dozens of features to your device. There's obviously way too much here for me to discuss in this video, so we're just going to go to the Life Up section, go all the way to the bottom, then scroll up just a little bit, and you'll see an option here called Routines Plus. And we're going to go ahead and install that plugin. Once the plugin is installed, pull your notification shade down twice to reveal all of your quick toggles, and find the quick toggle called Modes. If you don't see the Modes option, go ahead and tap these three dots in the upper right corner, then tap Edit Buttons, and check in here. As you can see, I have Modes right here, so I just have to long press it and drag it down to my other shortcuts. Now just tap Done, and I'll be able to access the Mode shortcut. Now I'll just long press on that shortcut, and that'll take me right into the Modes and Routines application. Now I already did a deep dive video on all that Modes and Routines has to offer, but the short of it is that this application lets you automate anything on your phone or any connected smart device. If you want to learn more about it, you can click the card above to find out why this is the most powerful application on any phone. For now, we're just going to jump into the Routines tab and tap the plus icon to create a new routine. On this page, you have an if section and a then section. The if section is everything that has to happen in order for the then section to occur. So let's go ahead and pick an if condition. Now we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see this Routines Plus section here. These are all the options that were added by downloading that Routines Plus plugin. Specifically, we want to select S Pen action. And if I scroll down a bit, you can see all the different air actions here. For this example, let's use the down up gesture to turn off my desk lights. So I'm just going to go ahead and select that, then tap done. Now I'm going to add a then option to choose what happens when I do the down up gesture. Since I want to control my desk lights, I'm going to choose Control Smart Things. Then I'm going to tap Control Smart Things again. Then I'm going to scroll to the bottom, select my desk lights, enable it, and have them turn off. Now when I back out of here, you'll see that both conditions are set. So I'll go ahead and tap Save. Then I can give the routine a name, change its color, and even select a different icon. Once that's finished, I'll tap Done, and the routine is set up. Now if I do a down up gesture with my S Pen, it'll turn off my desk lights. Now you may have noticed that this Smart Select window also appeared when I did the gesture. That's because all the default air actions are still enabled in the air actions menu. So when you want to use air actions to control smart devices, you have to remember to come into your air actions menu and then tap the action that you're going to be using and disable it from here. So now when I do the gesture, it's just going to turn my lights off without opening up the Smart Select option. When you pull your S Pen out, you'll be met with something called an Air Command menu, and this gives you shortcuts to a lot of powerful features. If you don't see this menu when you take your S Pen out, you'll see a little floating icon here. Just tap that icon and that'll bring this menu back up. Alternatively, you can just bring your S Pen close to the screen and press the S Pen button to bring the menu back up. Let's start by taking a look at the Translate option. This is incredibly useful if you're traveling abroad and maybe you've gone to a restaurant and you don't really know what's on the menu. You can just take a picture of the menu, zoom in a little bit, then hover the S Pen over individual words, and it'll tell you what those words are. If you want to save some time and translate a group of text, just tap this T icon at the top. That'll change to a paragraph icon. Now when you hover over the text, it'll translate a group of words. And it gives you a little box that you can resize to translate more or less text. And if you need to change the language you're translating from or to, just tap the language at the top and select a new language. And this feature even works within the camera app without even taking a picture. Glance is great when you want to keep track of something in a specific application, but you don't want to have two apps open at the same time. If I tap this, it'll take the current application and shrink it down into the corner. Then when I hover my S Pen over it, it'll bring the application back up and I can interact with that application. And this is obviously great for something like keeping track of sports scores. Now when I move my S Pen away, it'll shrink back down to the corner. And you could drag this to any of the four corners if you'd like. And if you want to remove the glance window, just hold it for a second and drag it on top of the word remove. Magnify is a feature that I use all the time because I wear reading glasses. If I don't have my glasses with me, I can just enable this and hover my S Pen over anything I need to read, and it makes it bigger and easier to read. And if I tap this 150% in the corner, I can expand it all the way to 300% and really make that text big. And if I need a bigger box, I can tap this expand arrow, and that'll give me a bigger box to work with. So if you wear reading glasses like me, I highly recommend checking this feature out. AR Doodle is a really cool feature that allows you to draw in 3D space. As you can see, my drawing is being tracked in real time, and the 3D drawings stay exactly where I drew them, allowing me to walk around them. And there are a ton of different pen styles, including things like water drops, fur, fried food, color changing pens, neon and sparkle pens, and even one that blurs whatever's behind it. And if you really want to, you can switch around to the front-facing camera and draw things around your face, and it'll track to your face, even when you open and close your mouth. And if you tap this GIF icon, you can select from thousands of GIFs that can be resized. And of course, these will move with your head too. So while this isn't the most useful feature, it's a ton of fun to play with, and I highly recommend checking it out. ScreenWrite is great if you want to quickly take a screenshot and mark up that screenshot in one step. And you can even quickly resize that screenshot by dragging these corners. From there, I could then save the marked up screenshot to my gallery or share it with the usual sharing methods. Smart Select has a lot of great uses. If I tap this, I get a few different selection options at the bottom, but most importantly, once I select something, I'll get this little T icon in the corner, and if I tap this, I'll be able to extract text from whatever I selected. And this is especially useful for taking coupon codes that you took a picture of and copying them to use on a website. And if you're unable to extract the text for some reason, you can choose this Pin and Insert option, and this will pin the image to your screen. And if I navigate to a different page, it'll stay on the screen. And if it's in the way, I could then tap it and shrink it down, then tap it again to make it big when you need it. You can also use this to copy snippets of images into other applications like a messages application. All you have to do is long press on the snip and drag it into the box, and it'll attach it into the message. Besides coupon codes, this also works great on web addresses like this custom one to take advantage of a limited time deal with my partner Mint Mobile, where you can get an unlimited data plan for just $15 a month for the first 3 months. And Mint Mobile runs on T-Mobile's network, so anywhere you get T-Mobile coverage, you'll also get Mint coverage. And that's certainly been the case for me after nearly a year of using Mint Mobile as my main carrier. So if you want to save a ton of money on your phone bill, click the link in the description or pinned comment, or go to mintmobile.com/techisode. Bixby Vision is similar to Smart Select in that you can select an area and extract the text in that area. But where Bixby Vision really shines is object recognition. So if I select Bixby Vision here and hover over this butterfly, I can resize this box to fully encompass the butterfly, then tap the image option. This will scan the image and try to figure out what's in that image and show you similar images. And as I scroll down, I'll see that this specific butterfly is an eastern tiger swallowtail. So if you ever see something and want to find out what it is, using Bixby Vision is a great way to do it. If you're someone who enjoys drawing or coloring, you can select this coloring option, and that'll give you a bunch of different pictures to color. Once you select an image, you'll be able to color like normal, or you can tap this little icon at the bottom, and you'll be able to color in entire sections with a single tap. And if you select an image and swipe down a bit, you can see other people's drawings as well for some inspiration. Write on Calendar is an excellent option for anyone who prefers to write their calendar events in instead of using a digital keyboard. Once you tap that shortcut, you can start drawing anywhere you want on your calendar. And if you need more space to write, you can just pinch to zoom all the way up to 400%, and it makes it a lot easier to get more text in a box. If you ever need to move handwritten details from one day to another, just tap the selection tool at the bottom, draw around the notes you want to move, and drag them to another day. And if you jumped into the calendar application without using this Write on Calendar shortcut, you won't actually be able to draw on the calendar. If you want to start drawing from within the calendar application, just tap this little pencil icon in the corner, and that'll put you right back into drawing mode. The one caveat with this is that you can't set reminders by drawing on the calendar. So if you need a reminder for an event, it's best to save your drawing, then tap a day twice to enter the event information. If one of these shortcuts is not useful to you, you can just tap this settings gear in the corner, then tap Air Command, then tap Shortcuts, and you can select from a bunch of S Pen specific shortcuts or shortcuts to open up any application you have installed on your device. Just remember that you are limited to 10 shortcuts, so if you already have 10 shortcuts enabled, you'll just have to remove a shortcut before you can add another one in. Sometimes you'll want to select text on your phone that's just not selectable by long pressing, but if you hold the S Pen button and swipe across that text, you'll still be able to select it, even if it's otherwise unselectable. To make sure you never lose your S Pen, open up the Air Command menu by bringing your S Pen close and pressing the S Pen button, then tap the settings gear in the corner, then scroll to the bottom and tap More S Pen Settings, then enable this feature here called Warn if S Pen left behind. So now that this is enabled, if I forget to put my S Pen back in its silo when I take my phone and leave, I'll get a message telling me that I left my S Pen behind. While we're in this menu, I want to point out another powerful feature, and that feature is called S Pen Unlock. If you enable this, then sign into your phone, you'll be able to unlock your phone just by pressing the S Pen button when it's out of the silo. This is especially useful if you take a lot of notes with the S Pen, like maybe in class at school, or if you're a contractor writing down a bunch of measurements. If your screen ever turns off, you can just press the S Pen button, and it'll take you right back into your application. Just keep in mind, this only works if your pen was out of the silo before the screen turned off. You're probably familiar with Screen Off Memo, which allows you to quickly write a note just by taking your S Pen out of the silo when your screen is off. However, this is far more useful than just some quick note taking. If you have your Always On display enabled, you'll see this extra icon right here, which looks like a little pin. If you tap this, you'll get a preview of what that would look like on your Always On display. Then you can tap this pin option again at the bottom, and now that note is going to stay on your Always On display. And this is great for something like a quick grocery list, so you don't have to unlock your phone every time you want to take a look at what you need. And if you need to edit the list, just double tap it, and it takes you right back to the list. And if you tap this circle in the corner, you can change the color of the text, and you can also change the line thickness here as well. Tapping the eraser switches to erasing mode, but it's honestly a lot easier just to hold the S Pen button in and swipe like that to erase. And if you want to quickly erase everything, just tap the eraser twice, and you get the option to do that here. And if you ever need more space for your notes, just swipe up and you can continue adding more notes. Now that was all pretty useful, but where this really shines is with contact information as well as taking measurements of things. So if you met someone new and you took down their contact information, or maybe you're a contractor and you're taking measurements of different areas that you're going to be working in, you can write all of that information down in this note, then either tap save or put your S Pen back in the silo to save the note. And once the note is saved, you'll be able to find it in the Samsung Notes application. Now that the note's been transferred into the Samsung Notes application, we get some really powerful features. For starters, if I hover the S Pen over the phone number, I can immediately call that phone number. With the email, I can immediately send an email. With the web address, I can immediately navigate to it. And if I have a bunch of equations, I can hover over the equation and tap the calculator icon, and that'll immediately do that math in the calculator. And this is especially useful for anyone who might be a contractor and needs to do a lot of math to figure out how many supplies they need. If you want to take this even further, you can tap anywhere on the note to enter into editing mode, then swipe across the bottom until you see this icon here with a little squiggle and a T on it. If you tap this, it'll analyze all the text and give you the option to convert it to printed text. And if you see that something isn't quite right, you can tap in the box, then fix it before converting it. And if you want to convert a smaller area, just grab these handles and move them up or down. One important thing to note about converting your handwriting to digital text is that you'll no longer be able to hover the S Pen over that text to get those shortcuts. Instead, you'll have to tap the text to enter into editing mode, then tap the text with your finger to select it, and you can either long press the text with your finger and drag to select all of that text to get that email shortcut again, or you can hold the S Pen button down and drag across the text to select it that way. So the shortcuts will still be there, it just takes a bit longer to get to them. And in case you're wondering how I got a perfect rectangle, all you have to do is draw any basic shape and hold for a second, and it'll automatically convert to a perfect version of that shape. And as you can see, this works for a ton of different shapes. By default, screen off memos are saved on a black background with whatever pen color you chose. But if you don't like that, you can open up your Samsung Notes application, tap these three bars in the upper left corner, tap the settings gear, then select this option called Look When Saved, and you can change it to whatever your pen color was on a white background or black ink on a white background. So if I selected pen color on a white background, then wrote a new screen off memo and saved it, when I look at that note in the Samsung Notes application, it'll be those same colors but on a white background instead. If you frequently use several different pen styles in Samsung Notes and you want super quick access to those pen styles, just tap the pen icon, select the style you like, then tap this star icon, and that'll save the pen to your favorites. Now just tap the pen with a star icon in the corner and you'll be able to see all your favorite pens. And if you want to delete one of these pens, just tap the trash icon, then the minus icon. While we're in the Samsung Notes app, let's take a look at another powerful feature. If you tap to create a new note, then tap this T with a pencil icon in the corner, you'll be able to start handwriting, and Samsung Notes will automatically convert all of your handwriting to digital text. This is especially useful for people who can handwrite faster than they can type on digital keyboards. The one caveat with this is that you can only write on one line at a time. If you try to write two words on top of each other, you'll get a mess of a result. So if you're going to be doing a lot of handwriting in Samsung Notes, I highly recommend rotating the phone so you have a much larger canvas to work with. You may have noticed this floating bar here. This just gives you quick access to things like emojis, adding spaces, or doing some backspacing, and even pulling up a mini keyboard if you need to. And this mini keyboard is especially useful if you need to use special characters. And the last two options are a carriage return and the ability to change the recognition language. And if you scroll further down, you can even change the insertion type. Body text will continue to add all of your new text to the main body of the note. New text box will create a new text box every time you start writing. Besides using this toolbar, you can also use different gestures to edit the text. These gestures include things like drawing a line through text to erase it, drawing a caret between letters to add a space between them, connecting letters with an arc to remove a space, and more. If you ever forget what the options are, you can always just tap this keyboard icon, then go to your keyboard settings, then scroll most of the way down until you see an option called S Pen to Text, then tap that, then tap How to Edit. And here you'll see the full list of options. This S Pen to Text option brings up the next useful feature. If you enable this, you get the ability to use handwriting in literally any text box in any application. All you do is start writing and it'll automatically be converted to digital text. Alternatively, you can tap this T icon on your regular keyboard, and that'll turn it into a handwriting canvas, giving you more space to write. If you want even more space to write, you can tap this expand arrow and write anywhere on the screen without interacting with the application. And when you want to use the normal canvas, just tap the arrows again. If you don't see the T icon, just tap these three dots, and it should be in one of these three menus. Once you find it, long press it, and drag it into your shortcuts. And now it'll always be available. If you notice that your handwriting isn't being converted fast enough for you and you're just kind of waiting around for it to convert, or it's being converted way faster than you can write, you can go to your keyboard settings, then scroll to the bottom and select Handwriting, and either increase or decrease your recognition speed. So if it's recognizing too fast, you want to increase the time, and if it's recognizing too slow, you want to decrease the time. And if you notice that the handwriting recognition isn't always the best for you, you can try changing the candidate type from recognition candidates to prediction candidates to see if that helps. And if you enable this pen detection option, the handwriting keyboard will open up automatically whenever you double tap in a text field with your S Pen. If I tap with my finger, it'll just open up in regular keyboard mode. And one more quick note in the keyboard settings, if you scroll down and tap on S Pen to text, you get the option to disable that floating toolbar that I showed you guys earlier. And the last thing I want to point out here is that if you disable this S Pen to text feature, you'll only need to single tap with the S Pen to bring up the handwriting keyboard. Just remember that disabling that S Pen to text feature will make it so that you can't write in text fields anymore. So I recommend testing out both methods to see what you like best. One of the most useful features with the S Pen, and the thing I use the most, especially when I was working as an engineer, is the PDF editor that's built into the Samsung Notes application. Just tap the PDF, then select the option that says Convert to Note. This will open up the PDF in the Samsung Notes application and give you access to all of the editing tools that Samsung Notes has to offer. This is great for basic things like signing a PDF, or for more complex things like editing a schematic. So if you work with PDFs at all, you have to start using Samsung Notes if you want to make your life easier. If you want to write a quick note while your screen is on, all you have to do is hold the S Pen button down and double tap the screen. This will open up a pop-up note for you to write in. And if you grab this bar at the top, you can move the note around the screen. Grabbing the corners lets you resize the note. And if you scroll across this bottom menu, you'll see that you have all the same editing options that you have in the full Samsung Notes app. If you've written a bunch of notes and want to scroll through those notes, you can either use your finger to scroll, or you could tap this reading mode here, and that allows you to use your S Pen to scroll as well. If you want to reference some information behind the note, you can tap the bar at the top, then tap these two boxes, and drag this slider down. This will make the note transparent, but you'll still be able to write on it. This menu also gives you shortcuts to hide this bar on the top, and if you want to show it again, tap these three sideways dots, and tap the icon on the left. You also get the option to jump into split screen view, so you can have the two apps side by side instead. You can minimize the application to make it into a floating bubble, or expand it to have it fill the whole page. And if you want to pop out again, just tap the pop out icon here. If you tap the three dots, you'll be able to insert anything into it, and that can be an image. You can open up your camera and take a picture directly. You can scan something, you can add PDFs, you can even add voice recordings, audio files, drawings, or text boxes inside the note. If you want access to more advanced drawing tools, tap Drawing, and you'll be able to select from a bunch of extra brushes and pens. And once you finish a drawing, just tap Done, and it'll drop that drawing in as a resizable image. And that drawing can't be modified in this view. If you want to modify it, you will have to tap it with your finger, then tap these three dots, then tap Drawing, and that'll take you back into the drawing mode. Jumping back into this menu gives you the option to set up a page template. So the default is just a blank canvas, but you can have lines if you want to do some writing, grids if you want to do some measurements, and you even get the option for something like a list template. And now that I've selected that, if I scroll down a bit, you can see that I can have a checklist here, and I can write different things for that checklist, and when they're complete, I can check them off in the note. Background color does exactly what you think it does. It allows you to change the background color. You also get a full screen shortcut here, and this hides the menu at the top. If you want to bring that back, just tap this little expand arrow here. Tags adds searchable tags to the note so you can search for the note later. And searching for those tags is as easy as going to the Samsung Notes application, tapping the search icon, then searching for the tag. Save as file allows you to change the file type. By default, it's going to be the Samsung Notes file, but you get these other options as well. And this is great if you want to continue editing that file in a different program. Finger drawing on just lets you start drawing with your finger instead of the S Pen. If you want to scroll while finger drawing is on, you'll just have to use two fingers instead of one. The star icon will save the note to your favorites, and you can also directly share or delete the note here as well. If you also own a Samsung tablet, like this Tab S8 Ultra, and you go into the Samsung Notes application, start a new note, and open up the drawing mode, you'll see this icon appear in the upper right corner, and this says Use Phone as Toolbar. If you tap this, you'll be able to use your phone as a toolbar. And that allows you to do things like change your pen color, change your pen style and thickness, and even do things like bring up the keyboard. This works as long as both devices are signed into the same Samsung account and Bluetooth is enabled on both devices as well. You do not need to have Wi-Fi enabled or even a cell signal in order to use this. All you need is Bluetooth. If you want to stop using this mode, you can just tap the disconnect icon on the tablet or this disconnect icon on the phone, and that'll move the toolbar back onto the tablet. The one caveat with this is that it doesn't work when dark mode is enabled. So now that I'm in dark mode, you'll see that icon has disappeared. But if I turn dark mode back off, you'll see that the icon reappears. And if you don't see this icon at all, you can check to make sure it's enabled by going back to your main notes menu, then tapping the settings gear, then going all the way to the bottom and enabling this use phone as toolbar feature. Live Messages allows you to send custom animated messages to your friends or family. Just select a background color, tap Start Drawing, select a pen style, color, and set the pen thickness, then draw whatever you want. And when you tap this play icon, it'll animate the drawing in real time. And once the drawing is saved, you'll be able to share it with the usual sharing methods. And while this works great on colored backgrounds, you can also choose to take a new picture or video and draw on that picture or video. Alternatively, you can select from an existing picture or video. If you select a video, you'll be limited to just 15 seconds of that video, but you can choose which 15 seconds you want to use. And you could also use less time if you want. And when you tap on the video will pause and let you start drawing anything you'd like. Then when you play it back, you'll see the drawing happen in real time. And if you swipe all the way to the left in the Live Messages section, you'll see a collection option, and that shows you all of the previous drawings you've done. All of your custom Live Messages are also saved in the Samsung Gallery application in the Albums tab. If you tap View All, then scroll down a bit, you'll see Live Messages. So that's another quick way to send these to someone. Jumping back into the Good Luck application, you may have noticed a plugin called Pentastic. If you install this plugin, then open it, you get a bunch more customization options for your S Pen. The first option is to customize the style of your Air Command menu. So you have the default menu, which looks like this. But if I swipe over, there is a line option, and I can reduce the background brightness when the Air Command menu opens, and even change the background blur. Or I can enable a custom background, so I can go to my gallery and select a custom image. And if I accept this option, then open up my Air Command menu, you'll see that the background completely changes, and I get this different style Air Command menu. Circle has the same customization options as the line option, and this brings up the menu in a circle that you can scroll through. Retro is the old style of the Air Command menu, and if I use this, it'll just fan out, but I'll be much more limited with how many shortcuts I can add. The pointer style refers to the pointer that appears when you hover your S Pen over the screen. By default, it's a little circle, but you can change it to an arrow, a heart, choose between a few different characters, or even add your own custom image that works like one of these characters. You can change the sound the S Pen makes when you either take it out or put it back in. So you have sounds like this basic one, a heart option, a few different characters to pick from, and they all have their own different sounds. Most importantly, you get the option to select a custom sound, and this could be any sound you want. So as you can see, I have a lightsaber on sound for when I take it out, and a lightsaber off sound for when I put it back in. So if I tap Use, then put my S Pen back in, it'll sound like a lightsaber going away, and when I take it out, it'll make a lightsaber activation sound. And lastly, you can change your double tap shortcut. And this is just a shortcut where you hold the S Pen button down and double tap your screen to open up a quick note. So if this isn't useful to you, you can tap the double tap shortcut option, enable it, and have that shortcut open up any S Pen feature or any application you have installed on your device. If these S Pen features blew your mind, wait till you see my top 50 unknown Galaxy S23 Ultra camera features by clicking this video here. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications because I've got a ton of deep dive videos planned for Samsung's upcoming foldable devices. That's it for this tech episode. God bless guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.